Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to predict the two-game TBT, the basketball tournament slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates, esports, including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and CSGO. Also, again, just want to say thank you guys for all support. We're at 3.45 thousand subscribers now. If you enjoy all this free content, if you can take a couple seconds out of your day to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast, the link is in the description below, which is the DK DFS show. If you could take a minute out of your day, leave a 5-star rating and a review, would also be greatly appreciated. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we get into players and the prices for Thursday's slate, what we can do is we look back at my lineup here from Wednesday's slate. So lesson from Wednesday's slate for me is don't play another 40-year-old. Yeah, Gibbs was a guy that was in the starting lineup. Did a little bit of research on him. He played about 25 minutes a game for Carmen's crew last year. He was actually a pretty talented player, but 40-year-old, right? There's always a risk, and unfortunately for me, he got injured in the first 2 minutes. Left the game, did not return. So, yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible to win when you have someone injured, especially when they're injured right at the beginning of the game. But other than that, I feel all right about it. I mentioned getting some exposure to those teams that are shorthanded, like the House of Pain and the Dayton team, Reds. I forget what the Scar or whatever. I forget what their name was. But yeah, I went 3-3 there. Nick Ward was the one guy I considered in Big X. There were some guys in Big X that were higher owned than they should be. I mentioned they ran an 11-man rotation, and you still saw some ownership for some of those guys. But yeah, Nick Ward was really the only guy I had interest in that team because he was a big list as a point guard. He was pretty decent for his price. Again, then I went with 3 guys from Reds. Thompson was a guy that was a clear value play there. Now, sure, higher owned, 62% owned, but still, what? Almost 40% of people faded him. He was clearly the best value play of the day. So there's still an edge here, definitely. And then, yeah, I went the 3-man stack there of House of Pain with Anders Felice, Dom, who I mentioned being my favorite spend up. I actually gave you guys a synopsis there on Twitter. I liked Dom the best as my spend up. I liked Thompson the best as my value play. Then I mentioned getting exposure to those shorthanded teams. Now, Nana Egwu wasn't a guy I was super excited about and probably should have got off because he's just not a guy that is going to score the ball. He's basically only out there to block shots and putbacks. Now, he did hit a 3, which was, you never saw that with him in Illinois, but that was one I was considering getting off. Yeah, that's really the look back there of my lineup. So just fell short. Yeah, if I don't get the injury, probably would have been a pretty good day for me once again, but that happens. Injuries happen, especially with 40-year-old guys. All right. Let's talk about this 2-game slate. So we'll start with a team we've already seen before and Heard That. Heard That versus, sorry, I got to get these teams' name right. The Money Team. So like I said, we've already seen Heard That play. So got their stats here from their most recent game. Williams was their best player last game. Went for 22-1-9. Smith went for 10-1-4. They have the Elmore. I think they're brothers, actually. John Elmore is the one I want the most because he's the guy that played the most minutes. Went for 9, 10, and 8, almost a triple-double. I believe his brother went for 9, 2, and 3. And then the kind of downside about this team is they're a deeper roster, right? Everyone got minutes here. They have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players. And again, everyone saw minutes, so that's not great. Again, I want to target the shorthanded teams a lot. This team has 10 players that all played. But the guy that I want to target the most again is John Elmore because he played 31 minutes. Now, everyone else, right, doesn't look good. Williams had a good day, but still only played 24 minutes, 25 minutes, I guess. Everyone else is under 20. So, yeah, this is a little bit ugly. John Elmore is clearly the guy for me at 7.7K because he's more the do-it-all guy, right? Fills up the stat sheet, almost had a triple-double. Yeah, I really like him even at that elevated price, and I think he's honestly one of the only guys I'm considering in this team. Jackery Williams, I'm probably mispronouncing that name. Again, he had the good shooting day, went for 22 and 9, power forward. I have some interest there. I just think he might go a little bit over-owned for him shooting that well in a limited amount of time. So again, I still think he's in play, but maybe not my favorite play. One guy I will mention here is, as a value play, is Chris Coakley. Now, sure, he didn't play a whole lot of minutes, but he actually did crack the top 5 there at almost 19 minutes, which isn't terrible for a guy that's almost mid-price, right, at 4.1K. And then his stats for the game was, 8, 1, and 3. Again, I want to target as many bigs as I can. He's a power forward center, too, so that's always a plus. You can play him at either position. I think he's someone that I have a little bit of interest in because there are some spend-ups I want in this slate, so value it's a little bit tougher to build a lineup now that has been in previous days, in my opinion. So going to a value guy like Chris Coakley, who, again, if he gets about 20 minutes or so, you're hoping for, 15, 20 fancy points from him, right? So I have a little bit of interest there. But all in all, this team in general is just, because they ran such a deep rotation, I'm not over the top of them, right? There's a couple of guys like Elmore. I think Williams is still in play because he had a good game last game. And then a guy like Chris Coakley for value. But that's really it that I'm considering. Next, let's talk about the TMT squad, the money team. So Troy, let's go to their page. I think I have it up here. Yes. So a couple of guys. There actually is 2 Jordan Crawfords on this team. I like the other Jordan Crawford, the one that actually played in the NBA. This Jordan Crawford from Bowling Green, 5'6". Probably will stay away, but just thought I'd mention that if I, talking about Jordan Crawford, make sure you play the right Jordan Crawford because there's 2 on this slate. So a couple of guys that stand out to me. Troy Roten played in the NBA a bit there. Went to the University of Washington. He's priced up to 8.1K. So yeah, I think he's in play, but it worries me. And again, they have a pretty deep roster, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players. That's really not great. But Roten, if he picks up a start, I would have a little bit of interest in. Now, Willie Reed is the guy that I like the most here at 6.1K. But right now, if you look in Draftkings on the website, he's listed as questionable. This will be news that we'll get tomorrow, obviously, so that's why it's always important to follow me on Twitter, guys. I give my thoughts as we get this news throughout the day. They usually tweet out the rosters and the starting lineups about an hour before lock. So Willie Reed, if you guys play NBA DFS, you might recognize his name. He's played in the NBA before, and he's a guy that when he gets minutes, he can just crush. So I like him. Obviously, got to keep an eye on if he plays. Kyle Wiltshire. Another big out of some interest in. Again, I'm interested to see what their starting lineup is, who's actually going to play. So keep an eye there. Again, this Jordan Crawford, I would probably pass on. I like the other Jordan Crawford more. Jeff Ledbetter, I recognize that. What team did he play for again? He's a sharpshooter. Was it Idaho? Could have sworn. Maybe I'm thinking of a different guy, but I'm pretty sure he's a guy that can stroke it from 3-point land, but I thought he went to a different college. I could be wrong there. All in all, I want to see the starting lineup for this team first. I want to see who's available. Again, guys that pique my interest right now, Roten, Willie Reed, especially for his price, but he's questionable. So this will kind of be a wait-and-see approach. All in all, though, this first game in general, I'm not super excited about a lot of players because both teams have relatively deep rosters, right? 10 and 11 players are definitely more than most. So, let's now move on to the second game here. We have, Armored Athlete versus Overseas Elite, a team that has been really, really good in this TBT tournament for years. They have a little bit of a different roster, but first let's talk about Armored Elite, and this is the team that I want to load up on. Last game, they had only 7 players play, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I think they had 8 on their roster, but only 7 got in the game. They do have a few extra guys here on the Draftkings player pool, but they were not on the active roster. I believe when they were on the slate last, they only had 8 players, but only 7 played. So this is where I want to load up, right? I think it's pretty clear. If you look at their stats the last game, let's take a look at some of their minutes, right? So John Roberson, almost 35 minutes. That's basically the whole game. Scott Machado, same thing, almost 34 minutes. Cody Clark played about 30. Joshua Bostic played about 26. Even Matt Mobley off the bench played 21. So, yeah, these are guys that I have a lot of interest in, and this is the team, definitely my favorite team to target, even though they're playing a good team in Overseas Elite. I want to load up on this team. I think, personally, you play at least 3 guys from this team. At least. I think you could play 4, maybe even 5. That could be pushing it, but I think you can play at least 3 from this team, definitely. And there's a lot of good options here. So let's take a look how they did last game. So Roberson went for 26, 5, and 3. Scott Machado went for 23 and 4. Cody Clark went for 16, 4, and 6. Bostic went for 15 and 2. Matt Mobley went for 6, 1, and 3. A value guy I did want to bring up is Gilbeck. He got in some foul trouble, actually. Still put up 4, 1, and 10, but I think if he didn't get in foul trouble, he could have played a few extra minutes. He didn't crack the top 5 in those minutes for the team, but I think he probably would have got somewhere between 20, 25 if he didn't get in foul trouble. And he actually looked pretty good when he's out there, so there's really a lot of plays I'm interested in. I would say the top 5 guys here with Roberson, Machado, Cody Clark, Bostic, and Gilbeck. I think Matt Mobley off the bench is still in play too. Hicks will probably be a stay away. But yeah, really, again, I want to play at least 3 of these guys. Normally, again, my approach to these slates are play as many point guards and bigs as possible. Usually my builds have been point guard, center, like big. But in this one, there's a lot of good point guards. I honestly leaning right now towards the 3 point guard approach. Obviously, point guard in the point guard spot, point guard in the guard spot, and then point guard in the utility spot, because there's a lot of good point guards I want to play, including these 2 guys, Roberson and Machado, because they're going to play like the whole game. So really like those guys. Again, Cody Clark I really like as a big. I think those 3 guys, those top 3 guys in Armored Athlete, are the top 3 plays in the slate, to be honest. I really do, just because they're going to play huge minutes. They're pretty underpriced compared to some of these other guys in the slate. So love this team. Again, I think you load up on them. I think Bostic and Gilbeck are in play too for value. Even Matt Mobley off the bench I think is okay, right? Because he got about 20 minutes. But yeah, all in all, guys, again, I really do want to get a lot of exposure to this team. And lastly, we have Overseas Elite, a team that's been very good here in the past. We have a slightly different roster, though, than last year. I had brought up some stats. I think the only guy on this team last year was Kane, who is here at 7.1K. In this box score that I pulled up from last year, he only played 21 minutes. You had Burrell and Pargo play the most there at 30 and 33, but they're both not here for this tournament this year. We do have a name I'm sure a lot of you guys recognize here, Joe Johnson. Yep, Joe Johnson is going to play. Now, again, if you look on Draftkings' website, he's listed as questionable. That's obviously a little bit worrisome. And yeah, do I want to play like another 40-year-old? I don't know if Joe Johnson's 40, but he's up there, right? Last time I played, like today, an old guy, he got injured right away. So that's a little bit of a worrisome. He's 8.5K too, which is priced up. How many minutes is he really going to play? So this will all be stuff that hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarity on tomorrow. But obviously Joe Johnson is in play, right? He's probably definitely the best player on this 2-game slate. It's just, are they going to play him 30-plus minutes, right? Because they do have a slightly deeper roster, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players again. So there's a lot of teams, besides Armored Athlete, all other teams have a pretty deep roster. Another guy I do want to bring up is Jordan Crawford. This is the Jordan Crawford I'm interested in. Shooting guard and small forwards on these slates at least have been weaker. So this is a guy I know has played in the NBA for a lot. He played, I think, most recently for the Pelicans. He's a guy that can score the ball and quit in a short amount of time. He can put up a lot of points. So I really like Jordan Crawford. I think he's probably one of the top shooting guard plays because shooting guard, again, is very weak. Everyone else, again, I think it's going to be a wait-and-see approach. I need to see the starting lineup, but those are the 2 guys that pique my interest. Obviously, Joe Johnson, but you're going to have to pay a premium for him. Again, my worries, he's old, how many minutes he's going to play, and then Jordan Crawford, former NBA player that's bounced around a lot of teams, but does have talent and can score the ball easily. So, yeah, I think that's really a wrap up there. Again, my strategy for this one, I want to load up an Armored Athlete. I want at least 3 players there. I mentioned some other players on the other teams. Right, if we go to Hurd, I think John Elmore, I think Williams is still viable, and a guy like Coakley for value. On the TMT side, Willie Reed if he plays, Roten, but you are going to have to pay a premium for him. Wiltshire, I think, looks interesting, but again, there could be some value plays, right? If when we get a starting lineup, right, if a guy like Aldridge starts as their big at 4.5K, then obviously I would have interest there, right? So it's going to be kind of a wait and see to see who they end up starting. That's why it's very, very important to follow me on Twitter, guys. On the Armored Athlete side, I really think you want at least 3 of these guys. I love this team. And then the Overseas Elite, going to be kind of wait and see approach. But the 2 guys that obviously piqued my interest are Joe Johnson and Jordan Crawford. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for the video, guys. So if you have been enjoying this content so far, would appreciate if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. I know I repeat myself, but those things do really help me out, guys, to continue to put out free content for you every single day. Yes, we have a lot of free content, 3 to 4 videos a day right now. I'm super, super busy. We got CSGO, obviously we got TBT this video. We have golf, which I just uploaded my video for. We have another Million Maker starting tomorrow if you guys are interested in that. We have Call of Duty this weekend. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So, yeah, thanks again, guys. Hope you guys all have a good night. Hope you guys win some money tomorrow, and I will see you all in the next video.